Hello. Welcome back to another video. If this is your first video watching on this channel, my name is Bahat, and today we will be continuing with our little series where I'll be answering 300 Reddit questions, and this is part three. Today we will be answering questions from 51 to 75. And if you do enjoy this video, then please make sure to like, hit the subscribe button, turn on the notifications for future updates. Without further ado, let's actually get into this video, and I hope you enjoy. All right, so let's get started. Question 51. What do you get the most compliments about? Well, if I ever interact with people, because I really don't interact that much, then I would say that one of the things that I get the most compliments about is actually having a lot of wisdom, knowing how life works well, at least in the topics that I understand well enough. And yeah, I mean, if there's one thing that I get a lot of compliments about, it's probably being, well, at least being like an X-wise person in the topics that I understood. Anyway, let's get into question two. Have you ever had, question 52, have you ever had an epiphany? What was it about and what sparked the realization? Okay, to be honest, I don't even know what epiphany is, so for now I'll just skip this question. Question 53. What is the most important quality you look for in a friend or a romantic partner? Well, for me, like I would say that a definition of a friend and a romantic partner are very similar in such a way that you cannot call someone who doesn't give a damn about you, who gives you a lot of load, or someone who demands too much as a friend or a romantic partner. The way I see it, if I ever get in a romantic relationship with someone, I would say that this person will have to be caring, someone who's willing to give you, not just take, you should be willing to give as well, and also not take. So if there is a mutual interest where you and the person in front of you are actually willing to give, be it a friend or a romantic partner, then I would say that this person is perfectly good and you should cherish and keep this person, whatever the means, whatever it takes, keep this person, never lose them. If that person gives, doesn't take as much as they give, that person is a gold mine in this world of ours. Be it a friend or romantic partner, you should keep this person at any cost. Question 54. What is a childhood habit or preference that you'll never outgrow? Okay. As a child, I used to be a very talkative person, and to some extent, I would say that I'm still sort of talkative if I'm conscious of my own actions. But right now, I try to be more conscious. But more importantly, as a child, I used to have the most lame jokes as a kid. My friends never found these funny, but I used to find them funny, and I never understood why. Right now, they are pretty much non-existent, but from time to time again, if I just want to piss someone off, I know exactly what to do. Question 55. What is your favorite word and why? I think I mentioned this in part one or part two of this series that my favorite word is the word zenith, and zenith basically means the top of the world, the best of the best, something that you cannot easily reach. And as a man, I would say that if you're not aiming to be the best of the best in whatever you do, I'd say just back off and don't even think about doing it. Because in order to be the best of the best, you will have to take specific sacrifices, and I would say that these sacrifices are crucial, and you should always be aiming to be number one in whatever you do. Question 56. Which of your flaws are you most proud of? Here's the thing, no one in this world that I know is actually perfect, not even me. I do not believe in any way that I am perfect, and I do not believe that I'm better than anyone. Everything, whatever you do, someone out there is better than you, but you should always be aiming to beat them to reach the top position, something similar to what was mentioned in question 55. So one of my flaws is that I am not perfect in any ways, and I am proud of not being perfect in any ways, but I would be really happy if every single day I come to the realization that I am making progress and being better at something specific. Question 57. What is the most ordinary seeming thing that you find fascinating? Oh, that's an easy one. It's the human body. Here's the thing. Back in January and February of this year, actually from November until March, I have went through a very specific phase where I taught myself a lot about machine learning, deep learning, artificial intelligence, and all of these interesting topics that are taking over the world and coming into prior notice nowadays. But here's the thing, artificial intelligence has actually fascinated me the most because I have written an AI that was like 400 to 500 lines worth of code for the very first time of my life. And when I have come to see how exactly it works and what was going on behind the scenes, I was mind blown about how relevant an artificial intelligence and the human brain are actually close together, and how the working behind the scenes was super fascinating and super complex with a lot of research and so many people who are working on this that just don't get enough credit for what they do. So the most ordinary seeming thing that you might find fascinating as well is how the brain works. This brain is incredibly complex. It takes a lot of very simple instructions to be able to do things that even we humans are not completely able of doing nowadays. Don't take this thing for granted. Appreciate it as long as it lasts, because believe it or not, this is super complex and it's never going to be easy to replicate what it does one to one. I would say that it would take at least like what 30 to 40 years if we are moving at the incredible rate that we are moving at nowadays. So yeah, the most ordinary seeming thing that you find that I would find fascinating is the human brain, just because of how much it can basically do within this very small area that it is provided. Question 58. What lesson have you had to learn again and again? What did I have to learn again and again? There's a lot of lessons that I can talk about. But here's the thing. No one's gonna be there for you all of your life. This whole life of yours is your responsibility. And if you fall into the trap of people telling you to play it safe, you're never gonna reach anywhere. I had to learn this over again and again and again. I had to learn it 1,000 times before I have come to the realization that this life is my own responsibility. Either I listen to the people out there, play it safe and give up on my dreams, or I just go all out, flat out crazy, do what no one has ever thought that I would be able to do, and make it to the top of the world. Always go for the second choice over here. Don't play it safe. It's not worth it. What was your favorite thing about the place you grew up? Well, I grew up in a very small town. It was called Kelba. It was beside a small city called Fujairah in the United Arab Emirates. This is where Dubai basically lies, to those of you who don't know. And the favorite thing about the place where I grew up was actually all of the memories and the interesting things that have happened in my life. If I'm being flat out honest, I have broken so many rules as a kid. And to be honest with you, I just wouldn't love to mention them on YouTube in case somebody sees them and decides to arrest me. But my favorite thing about all what happened is the hype, the thrill, the interest, what's gonna happen next. Just not knowing what life has in store for you has always had my mind rolling and trying out some crazy things. But that was just something that I found was one of my favorite things as I grew up. And if I were to ever do it again, I'd honestly do it all over again, just because these were rules set by people and I found it interesting to break them. I could be a psychopath to some of you, but I just enjoyed them personally. Question 16. Scientific or technological advancement blows your mind. Is there any technology that seems so futuristic and advanced you're surprised actually exists? Yes, there is, and there's a lot of them. From machine learning to deep learning to artificial intelligence, computer vision, natural language processing, these are some super interesting topics, and they should not even exist in our day to day. I would honestly say that we weren't even meant to discover that these things exist. And computers and technology overall, the more I learn about it and understand it, the more fascinated I get by it. And the more I would like to say, this should not even exist in our real life, but we are just supposed to be very grateful of everything that we have invented and discovered so far, because this just shows how incredibly advanced and complex the human brain is and what it could achieve. Appreciate the brain, boys. If you could ask your future self one thing, what would it be? Yeah, I actually have a question. Will I ever succeed on YouTube, or am I just wasting my time right now? Okay. What is something that gets cooler, more interesting the more you learn about it? the human brain. The human brain is incredibly complex and it's nothing like what we think it is. And I would honestly say that the more you learn about the human brain, especially when it comes to artificial intelligence and how are trying to mimic it, the more you will truly appreciate it because it is mind blowing what it could do. What would you title your memoir? What's a memoir? I have no idea. Guys, if you know what a memoir is, please let me know in the comment below, and then I will answer you personally in the comments myself. What was the hardest decision you've ever made? Yeah, that one's easy. Baha, you want to leave your home country and go to a whole different country where you don't know anyone, but you will learn the biggest lessons of your life? Or do you prefer to stay on your comfort zone right now and just live like a normal person and play it safe? That was a very hard decision for me to make back then when I was 17 years old. I'm just happy that I have chosen to live my life and just take the hard way out of this and just enjoy life as it is. Question 65. What would your best friend use to describe you? How would your parents describe you, your significant other, if applicable? Well, right now, I actually don't have a significant other, but you could say to some extent that I'm talking to someone here and there and just saying how things go. I have no idea how she would describe me. You might want to ask her if I ever get to make a face review of her, that is. How would my parents describe me? Well, my mother would say that to some extent I'm arrogant. I don't listen to people. I just don't follow the rules. I don't know if she likes that about me or not, but I'm pretty sure that me myself, I like that about myself because I would say that I'm unpredictable. Again, I am no one to judge, and I'm not trying to be a narcissist here. What would what would word would my best friend describe me with? You're gonna have to ask my best friend about that. Question 66. In what way would you like to become famous one day? Well, I would just love to be famous about trying new things, doing what people have never done before, pushing the limits, discovering new boundaries, doing the impossible, being basically the best of the best and the top of the world one day, hopefully. That's how I'd like to be known. But I would also like to be known as doing it in such a way that people actually love my company. Well, at least majority of it, I know that I couldn't please everyone, but if I could please at least 60 or 70% of the population one way or the other, I'd be more than happy with that. How would you summarize your life so far in one sentence? Yeah, that one's easy. A, a nice guy who actually went through because he was not getting what he wanted out of life. Basically, a person who decided to force things out of life for himself. You're old and you're on your deathbed. What with your last breath, you might deliver your last words to anyone you know. What do you say and who do you say it to? What do I say and who do I say it to? Dear everyone who bullied me in the past when I didn't know anything about life, thank you guys for teaching me the hardest lessons of life. Dear everyone who I have taken advantage of, I do apologize to you. I probably was either learning a lesson or not conscious that I was being the bully in the story. And dear everyone who I have loved, whether you have broken my heart or not, thank you so much for being there. You have taught me the biggest lessons of my life. If seasons never changed, which would you most like to live in eternally? Uh, Probably spring. It's not super cold, it's not super hot. And the meanwhile, like temperature is actually pretty fair, if I would say. Because here in Malaysia, at the very least, I would say that seasons actually never change. Like it's literally from 20 to 40 degrees Celsius all year round, no more, no less. And I'm actually loving it here. Like it's predictable to some extent, I would say, but I'd also say that it's making life a whole lot easier, such a manner that I'd say that, like in one way or the other, I'd say just living in Malaysia is actually super fun. I honestly have no idea what to say right now, okay? Oh, that was question 69. Nice. Okay. What's the best advice you've ever received? Kid, this world is yours and your responsibility. Whatever you do, make sure that you are the one in the driver's seat. No one else gets to tell you what exactly to do. You're in control. Never listen to anyone. Only listen to your gut. If you want to take risks, go ahead and do it. If you want to play it safe, also go ahead and do it. All right, you have 1 year to live. How do you spend it? I think I've answered this before. Nope. Okay. How would I spend 1 year to live? I would spend it with the loved ones because nothing in this world actually matters more than that. I spend it with my spouse if I have a spouse later on. I would spend it with my close friends. I would spend it with my family and friends, with my parents if they're still alive. And since I have no siblings, I think that's more than enough for me. Think of the best teacher you've ever had. What did they teach and what made them so special? This one's easy. When I was 14 years old, my mother kind of forced me into some mathematics tuitions as a kid. But let's just say that my teacher back then during the tuitions was known as Ma'am Ginny. And up until this day, I'm forever grateful for her for the very specific reason that Ma'am Ginny has taught me everything I've ever known. Math, she has taken me from one of the worst to one of the best. She was also part of why I have actually chosen to do engineering when I grew up, well, so far at least. What is something you've never thought you'd be able to do until you have actually done it? I never thought that I would be good in front of camera, and yet here I am actually trying to do this YouTube thing. So again, if you're actually appreciating my effort, please like, subscribe, and hit the bell notification icon. Question number 74. If you could go back and relive one day in your life without changing anything about it, which day would you revisit? If I would go back and relive one day, I would honestly go back to the first time that I've ever fallen in love with someone. I don't even remember that day, but I'm sure that I truly enjoyed it before I got my biggest heartbreak ever. Last question. If you had the power to completely eradicate one disease, which would you choose to abolish? I know that this is tempting for me to say coronavirus, but I would honestly say the plague. Like, I don't know, back then, they didn't have the same medical advancements. They didn't have the same E times of B's as we do have right now, but I just think that life was hard for them, and I'm sure that if the plague wasn't there, our whole world would have been different. Anyway, that's the end of this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you did enjoy it, please like, hit the subscription button, and the notification bell down there, and I'll see you in part 4. Peace.